Yes, thank you. Let me add a few points from the EFSF ESM perspective. And when I thank Jean-Claude Juncker also, it's first also from this EFSF ESM perspective, because he was instrumental in setting up these two institutions. And the Luxembourg authorities have been extremely cooperative and helpful in this process. But beyond that, from a personal perspective, I've known Jean-Claude for 20 years, and I could witness his work first preparing EMU in the 90s, working on its improvement, and now the last few years during the crisis. And I would say that Jean-Claude Juncker, for me, is really one of the true and great Europeans of our times. And I want to congratulate Jeroen Dijsselbloem, not so difficult to pronounce, and also promise you all the support from the EFSF and ESM that we can provide. Let me say a few words on the countries of operation and what we will do the next few weeks. On Greece, we are ready to disburse 7.2 billion euro in bonds to cover bank recapitalisation and resolution cost, and also to disburse 2 billion euro in cash for budgetary purposes, because the Troika confirmed that the milestones have been met. All this will be formally endorsed and finalized by the EFSF board in a week's time. Still on Greece, I also want to mention that the segregated account, which you may remember, which exists and into which the EFSF makes its disbursement upon the request of the Eurogroup, and which we monitor very closely. There's work ongoing. We have agreed with the Greek authorities to provide us with regular data on projected public debt payments, as well as detailed statements of executed financial flows. We have already received this information for January and February, and we are in close cooperation with the Ministry of Finance, the Bank of Greece, and the Privatization Fund in order to organize an efficient way to monitor all the transactions made into and out of this account. Second, on Spain, as Jean-Claude, the chairman, already mentioned, the ESM supports the Troika's recommendations and therefore will disburse the second loan tranche of a bit less than 2 billion euro for the recapitalization of Group 2 banks. Due to the strict implementation of the program, the disbursement is much lower than initially thought. That is, of course, good news. Spain is in line with its commitments in the MOU and the timetable, and the disbursement is again expected to be legally approved by the ESM board in a week's time. This disbursement will occur as a cashless operation in the beginning of February. On Portugal, following the positive assessment of the sixth review by the Troika and the Euro Working Group approval, the EFSF is ready to disburse 0.8 billion euro. Again, this will be finalized in a week's time, and the funds will be provided in early February. I want to add that there has been some confusion in some media, I think, concerning the exact amount which the EFSF will disperse to Portugal overall. Let me emphasize that the net disbursement amount to Portugal during the period 2011 to 2014 will be 26 billion euro as initially planned. The amount will not be increased as some had wrongly understood. Let me now turn to what the EFSF and ESM have been doing in the market since the beginning of the year. We have been active. On the 15th of January, the EFSF launched its 2013 funding program with the successful placement of a 7-year, 6 billion euro benchmark bond. The issue was met with strong demand, with orders coming from investors worldwide. In terms of long-term funding, the EFSF will continue to finance the macroeconomic adjustment programs for Ireland, Portugal, and Greece. This year, in 2013, the EFSF is expected to raise between 55 and 60 billion euro in long-term issuance in order to finance disbursements to these three beneficiary member states and to finance the rollover of existing maturities. The ESM, on the 8th of January, launched its first short-term funding program with the first 3 months bill auction for 2 billion euro. The auction was again a success, met with strong demand, was oversubscribed several times. The new ESM bill program replaces the existing EFSF bill program, and the EFSF will no longer hold bill auctions. Maturing EFSF bills will be financed via long-term funding from the EFSF or temporarily through ESM bills. The ESM will initially focus on 3 months and 6 months bills and have regular bill auctions which will be held every second Tuesday. The ESM bill program is expected to cover funding needs for the first half of the year, and then a first bond issuance is expected from the ESM in the second half of the year. Thank you very much.